do you think already understanding sales has helped you in your transition into BDM?
Oh, 100%, because a BDM is a little bit of both sides, isn't it? Like obviously you need to understand your property management legislation and all of that. You also need to be able to sell the business to be able to secure those new leads. So it's absolutely, as a BDM, you really do need to walk the line. You have to have that trust relationship with both your sales team and your property management team.
Absolutely. And you work with the amazing Ash Goodchild from SoCo Realty in Perth. And you guys have had a bit of a dream market. Not to say that you haven't had to still work, but you have had a huge influx of investors from the East Coast buying up in Perth as, the prices were amazing. And of course, that's really helped business. But that market is now changing a little bit. So tell us, or maybe update us first of all on what's happened in the market and maybe, what changes you're having to make now that things are slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, look, it absolutely has slowed down. And I think it's a combination of things. Obviously, we're at that time of year as well. Or I think people are probably just holding off to next year. But like if you put the vacancy rate into perspective, in November last year, the vacancy rate was 0.7. And at the moment, it's 1.7. So there's definitely been a shift in the market. The last couple of years have been hectic, just super hectic. Like, everyone was just running on adrenaline here in Perth. It didn't matter where you were working, it was just crazy. And it is actually nice to take a little bit of a breath, but I don't think the market change is here, this slow period is here forever. I think it's just that sense of urgency has come out of it. We're just starting to get to a real manageable state. Yeah, so I think it'll be okay.
Yeah. So when I started my business, which was 13 years ago, about as long as you've been in real estate, we had a boom market. There was a huge, where I'm based in Queensland, it was just named the growth capital of Queensland. Actually, I think it was the growth capital of Australia. And there had been a whole host of housing developments approved. Housing was going gangbusters. We had some great relationships with builders and developers. And our first 400 managements really came off the back of that relationship. But of course, like the real estate's a cycle, that cycle slowed down. But I wasn't smart enough, and I was new to real estate. I was a journalist in my former life, so I didn't understand the cycle of real estate, and I had no pipeline then. I literally the management stopped, and then I had to go, oh my God, what am I going to do now to grow my business? And I literally sat on that 400 for a couple of years because it took me a long time to, get the mindset for growth and adapt to those changing markets. So talk to me about some of the things that you are now doing in that changing market. What new prospecting are you doing? How is that lead gen working for you now?
Yeah, so I think the first thing is to just look in your own backyard. So absolutely work with your existing database and clients. So something that we do here is investor audits. So we will contact the investor via Zoom or telephone if they prefer and go through how their investment journey has been. Do they need to make any changes to their circumstances? If their circumstances have changed, have they purchased another property? So we really focus on our current landlords, making sure that they're okay and they've still got the trust and all of that with us. And see, it's really important to see if their situations have changed. Whether they need a new mortgage broker because their interest rates have increased and we might be able to save them some money over here. It's not necessarily about trying to, bring in more business from this person, but just keeping that trust there so that when they are ready, they're going to come back to us and that sort of jazz. So we always start with our current clients, make sure that they, happy, if we can help them out in any way, shape or form. Moving on from there, it's really important to stay active in the community, and absolutely on social media and seeing if there's any niche in the market. So my niche that I saw, particularly when I came to work for Ash at SoCo, when we had all those investors, is that there were so many investors that were buying these properties that needed that facelift, needed that renovation. And it is a lot of work for a property manager to have to do this, especially if they're managing 100 plus properties and they're out on inspections and all of that sort of stuff. So I really slotted into that niche where I could BDM, but also project manage those renovations for those clients to increase their capital growth so that they could go and purchase another property and that sort of jazz. So I think also, understanding your area and seeing where your little niche is. Another one is granny flats, right? So you've got 2 properties on the lot. That's 2 managements. So, reaching out to those clients and explaining to them, potentially what their dual income could look like, running through the basic process of that, and then offering up the suggestions of who they could speak to see if their property could allow this sort of environment and, help them in that way and bringing those management leads.
Oh, I love that. That's a really good little niche and a good little tip with those properties, because some investors would be just renting it out as one management rather than niching down into. And another thing and look, this hasn't worked well for me, but I know other property managers in different areas, it's worked well for them, have gone into more of the rooming accommodation where you're still getting a management fee per room. So instead of just getting like your 7 or 8% for the property, you're getting, if it's a 4-bedroom house, you're getting, maybe you've reduced it to 6%, but you're getting, what's the math there? 24% for a house instead of management fees, instead of your 7 or 8%. So unfortunately, in the market that I'm in, rooming accommodation is just not working. And I've got a few properties that have been sitting there for months that I cannot get the rooming accommodation working for me. But that is probably a good little tip as well for anyone in different markets as well. Have you guys tried that?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I think if I tried that, my property managers would just like hunt me down. So it would just, for them, they're just not ready. There are a couple of people that do it here in Perth and they do it very, very well. So when we do get an investor that is looking for that style, we absolutely just refer them to them. But I personally think it's a great idea. I love anything that's going to bring in more income for a landlord. I mean, that's my goal, right? My goal is to get that landlord as much income as possible and obviously grow the business at the same time. But when my clients are making really good money, they're happy and they're happy with me. And that's the goal. That's sort of where I like to sit. The granny flat thing is probably the best way in Perth because we do still have such large lots and it's quite easy for landlords to do that and create that dual income. We've got a lot of new builds as well. So people are buying house and land packages in our southern suburbs, Beldivis, and in our north, it's Eglinton and Alkimos. And a lot of these properties, they're building them as dual key. So the builders have clued on to what the investors are wanting as well. And this is working out fantastic for them. So,
yeah. And that's exactly what was built when I first started my business. There was a lot of dual key properties. So that was a good boost for mine. And I guess when the managements aren't rolling in as easy, it's really easy to kind of, panic and get a bit of fear and question yourself and your ability. And I believe it's a mindset. You've got to just go, okay, this has changed. What do I need to do now? Talk to me how you work through that process, because you've obviously it's fresh in your mind. You've just been, the brakes have been put on and now you've had to change and try new things. If you're ready to be a super organised, focused and productive property manager, buckle up, because Colmio is about to revolutionise the way that you work. Colmio is the driving force behind property management excellence in residential real estate. Now picture this, a comprehensive end-to-end system designed to be the beating heart of your property management tasks, manage your properties, owners and tenants, and handle payments, inspections, and even marketing listings without leaving the platform. Colmio is designed to be an all-in-one solution to all your property management needs. And here's the game changer. Colmio isn't just software. It's been awarded the most innovative prop tech scale up in 2023. Yes, you heard it right. Colmio has been recognised for their groundbreaking approach to property management software. How good is that? So property managers, whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out,
dive into the future of property management with Colmio. You can book in a demo with the team today and go in their weekly draw for a Prezi gift card worth $100. All you need to do is to head to the link colmio.com/thatpropertymum, and Colmio is KOLMEO.
Yeah. So fortunately for me, I'm extremely lucky to work with Ash. So, and although we work together, we don't actually see or speak to each other very often because, we're both in our own lanes and busy and that sort of jazz. But, obviously when we both started to see a slight shift, we had a bit of a catch up and we're like, okay, what can we do here and what should I be doing now? And, it all comes down to the basics really, doesn't it? So really active on social media. And my social media, I really like to focus it on landlord education. So my LinkedIn profile, YouTube channels, all of those things that all BDMs should be doing, regardless, that should all be set up and they should have all the followers and that sort of jazz. Focus it on the landlord education. What is it that the clients want to know? Because then they're more inclined to come to me, whether they've got an investment property already and they're looking to switch agents, or, perhaps they are still looking to buy here in Perth. No one wants to see what you've just leased or what you've got for lease. It's all about educating the landlord on suburbs, legislation changes, and that just, it shows that we're the industry leaders. We know what we're talking about. They trust us. 95% of my videos are completely raw. Most of them are done in the car with my hair a mess. I've often got a child in the background that's having a bit of a sore. And, initially I didn't sort of like putting that type of feed up, but it's genuine. It's the real me sort of thing. And clients really connect with that. So I think just staying true to yourself, putting out that information, however you want to do it, is going to help bring in those lead generations. I also have a website of my own that I run alongside of SoCo. So in my website, when people click on, contact me, it all feeds into our CRM system that we have here in the business as another lead source. And my website also focuses on that renovation side of things, that capital growth, where clients don't need to be a SoCo client to access this. So it's all that data is coming in as well for the business. And, obviously, as I said earlier, just getting out in the community and focusing in your backyard, ringing those landlords, see if they have got another property that you don't manage currently. So that's sort of our strategy. Moving forward into 2025, I've got, some pretty big personal business goals that I want to achieve. So once we're all back on deck, I'll probably sit down with Ash in February, to be fair, with all of the public holidays in Jan. We'll write down a business plan of attack of how I'm going to achieve, my 40 plus managements a month consistently throughout the year and that sort of jazz. But yeah, for now, this is what we're focusing on and it's working. We are still getting the leads in. We're still, making contact with those new clients.
Amazing. Do you mind if I ask you what numbers you've been able to achieve in the last 12 months? Because 40 a month, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so my personal goal is to get one management a day, right? One management signed a day. So we were very close to that last year.
That's amazing.
And this like 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. And I also love the idea of the personal branded website as well, because I think, you are a brand in yourself. People do want to come and do business with people, not necessarily brands. So I love that idea. And it's a mutual benefit as well, I guess.
And it's so easy to set up, like you can just jump on Fiverr or, a lot. It's not expensive and it's fairly easy. And it's just that extra lead gen. So yeah, it's been great.
So just obviously I love social media strategy. It's what I do. It's what I teach all the time. Let me just understand your strategy. So when people land on your website, so you promote your website through, so just talk me through your strategy then with your personal website. So obviously on your YouTube and your social media, you're driving traffic to that landing page or website. And then from there, you'll collect their data and then that'll go into your CRM and then you will reach out to them from that?
Mhm.
Is that how that works?
100% that's how it works. So the the CRM that we use is IRE, and that has automatic campaigns. So as soon as they landed on the page and clicked, they'll get sent the automated, you know, welcome email or whatever. And then I get a copy of that so I can contact the client. I know what package they're interested in, and I can start having those conversations with them.
And you're able to build another income stream for yourself as well through that renovation side of things as well?
Yeah. Yeah. So I run that alongside of Soko, and Ash has been, she's such an amazing person and, amazing person to work with. And when it all sort of started to happen, she was like, okay, well, let's set our fees up for this, and you can run this over here and have your own ABN, and we can, obviously keep all the data in here, but this is how we can do it. So it does create that extra income for me. So when the market is a little bit slower and people aren't buying properties, but they've got that 20, 30K to renovate, I'm there to assist with that. I've still got that income coming in. And these are all new clients going into the database for Soko. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I would love to do another episode with you or Ash on your process for your investor reviews. It's something that I have run in my own business as well. And it's amazing how many of your clients in your rent roll that you don't realize have other properties. I've
Yeah.
realized a large chunk of my rent roll have got properties in Sydney and Melbourne that I did not know, which, is great to know if I ever wanted to open up down there. I've got a rent roll and a base of clients, a base of properties I could potentially start with. So that I would love to do another episode on that. But so maybe just, if you've got any advice for BDMs that are starting out, that maybe have their market conditions have changed, what would be the best advice you would give to them to get focused and, get back to bringing in more management?
Yeah, it absolutely is a mindset, like you said earlier, isn't it? So once a year, I'll probably read this book. It's called You Incorporated by John McGrath, right? And I bought it ages ago, and I probably read this book once a year. And it is absolutely fantastic for getting you back into that business mindset and just creating that little bit of excitement again. So I would write out a little bit of an action plan, what you sort of, and goals, how you're going to achieve that, whether it's calling your landlords, looking at starting some more lead generation, updating a YouTube channel, all of those little bits and pieces, whatever that sort of looks like. Read You Incorporated, jump onto some podcasts. Here in Perth, I listen to Bryce and Ben, who are on the property couch, and there's some fantastic motivational entrepreneurs across all of the, Spotify's and all that sort of stuff that are fantastic when you're in the car, just to give you that little bit of advice. One of the ones that I was listening to the other day, I can't remember what it was. I think it was Her Empower Builder, or one of those podcasts. I think it's Tina that runs that.
Tina Tower?
Said, yeah.
Yep. Tina Tower. Yep.
Yeah. One of the comments that I picked up through one of the podcasts that she did was, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? And when you're uncomfortable as a BDM because you're stressing out, because you work on commission and you're by yourself because you're the only BDM in the office, and you've got PM teams and sales teams, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Just sit down, write down what your goals are, get your little action plan together, and just jump in, even if it does feel a little bit uncomfortable in this quieter market.
Yeah. I love that you said earlier too, something I meant to touch on was about, just being raw and authentic and just jumping on and doing a video in the car. I'm exactly the same as you. I've tried all different versions of I've tried professional, not professional, like professional editors, professional photographers, videographers. For me, the most successful content that I share across any platforms is just the real, raw, honest stuff. So, and there's no excuses then for not doing that. Like, you don't need a big production team.
Yeah, I had one of the highest hits on my LinkedIn account. And full disclosure, I do have my own personal VA that does my social media. I do all the content, send her all the words, and she calendars it and she sends it all live for me, right? So, and she follows what posts are doing well. And one of the posts that I put up was on a Friday afternoon. So it was like 5:30. I had my UGG boots on, I had a beer on my desk, and I was doing a Zoom meeting with some clients talking about a renovation project that we we're going to take on. And I've just put this post up of this photo of me with the beer there and the computer here. And, in the post, I was like, yes, it's Friday afternoon. Yes, I've got my UGG boots on. Yes, I've got a beer on my desk, but I'm having a conversation with some clients about this. And that post was just like massive. Everyone was just like, yeah, this is exactly what we want to see. And I was like, oh, well, I'm happy to wear my UGG boots more often.
Yeah.
I'll have a beer on my desk in the afternoon if that's going to work. But, at the end of the day, it was huge. So yeah, it's all about just being who you are, really.
No, amazing. And you've already shared personal development. So that's amazing. I love everything that you're doing, Sam. I think, any BDMs listening will find a lot of value in what you've just shared with everybody. So thank you so much for being so open and honest about, what's working and what's not, because like you said, a lot of BDMs do work on their own. They don't have a lot of support. A lot of business owners are super busy and can't give them a lot of time. So I think, for you coming on and sharing that on the podcast is amazing. So if anyone wanted to reach out to you and, connect further and get more advice, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Oh, I'm very Googleable. So yeah, just jump onto Google. All my details are there. And absolutely, if anyone wants any information about how I structured our renovation package and what fees I charge and all of that, I'm absolutely more than happy to share that info. So yeah, just reach out.
Amazing. Sam, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.